from the CBS Bay Area studios, this is KPIX 5 News.
Welcome back to KPIX 5 this morning. The time is 6:29. I'm Melissa Caen.
Good morning. I'm Devin Fehely. Smoke from a number of California wildfires combined with smog has triggered a spare the air alert for today. Air quality officials say you should stay inside if you smell smoke and stay off the roads if you can. Let's go to Julie Watts, a little more on that.
Yeah, you know, we are getting ready to see a bit of a cool down as we make our way into the work week, but we still have another warm day, at least for folks inland. Here in the city, I think we're going to be cool once again. In fact, if you take a look outside right now, yeah, you can't really see the city. That's from our Sutro Tower cam. And we do have that low cloud deck. The fog out there this morning, reducing visibility, so do be mindful of that. Current temperatures across the board in the 50s to start out your day. We're at 59 in San Jose, 56 Oakland, 57 in Livermore. As we mentioned, a spare the air day in effect today. Unhealthy air quality for the East Bay and the Santa Clara Valley today. Temperature-wise, we'll stay mild around the bay and along the coast. Temperatures near 70 degrees in San Francisco, warming up into the mid-90s for the warmest spots inland, Concord, Livermore, mid-80s for San Jose, Mountain View at 80 degrees. Your full forecast still ahead. Melissa, over to you.
Julie, thank you. Now, this morning, a strong earthquake rocked the Indonesian island of Lombok, where people are still trying to recover from a quake earlier this month that killed 460 people. The U.S. Geological Survey says today's quake was a magnitude 6.3. So far, there are no reports of additional damage or injuries. Indonesia is prone to earthquakes because of its location on the so-called Ring of Fire. That's an arc of volcanoes and fault lines in the Pacific Basin.
Monsoon rains and heavy flooding have killed hundreds of people in Kerala, India. More than 300,000 others have been forced to seek shelter. The torrential rains have triggered the state's worst flooding in nearly a century, destroying thousands of homes and roads. High waters have receded a bit, but officials are concerned about the looming challenges of disease and waterborne illnesses.
Closer to home, hazmat crews in Shasta County are busy cleaning up the destruction left by the Carr fire. More than 1,000 homes were destroyed. So far, crews have been able to clear about a quarter of those properties of hazardous materials.
A lot of the cars have car batteries in them, and those batteries are lead acid batteries. The lead turns pretty much into a powder. As you encounter more materials, whether it's asbestos or other hazardous materials, that site takes a little bit longer.
It's expected to take a few more weeks to complete the cleanup. Meanwhile, state lawmakers have dropped a plan that would have protected PG&E from some liability for wildfire damages. The controversial proposal, backed by Governor Jerry Brown, would have shifted the financial burden onto insurance companies, likely leading to higher premiums for homeowners. Now, critics say it would have given utility companies too much protection without ensuring that they safely maintain their equipment. Now, because utilities are allowed to forcibly put their equipment on people's private property, current California law holds them responsible for any fires ignited by that equipment, even if they follow safety rules.
And back here in the Bay Area, San Francisco police are on the lookout for a hit-and-run driver who put a pedestrian in the hospital with life-threatening injuries. The victim was struck on the 300 block of Jones Street just after 3 o'clock yesterday morning. The suspect turned onto Ellis Street and took off. The vehicle is described as orange or metallic red in color. It likely has some front-end damage. And an 85-year-old man is behind bars in San Francisco after police say he shot his nephew during an argument. It happened around 9 yesterday morning on Fell Street, just east of Divisadero near Alamo Square Park. Police put the suspect in handcuffs as he stood on the sidewalk and sent him to county jail. The 49-year-old man who was shot is in the hospital. His injuries are not life-threatening. Now, officers did recover a gun at that scene. They're still investigating exactly what led up to the shooting.
Now, a Colorado father is accused of killing his family and is expected to be charged tomorrow. Chris Watts was arrested Thursday after he reportedly confessed to killing his pregnant wife, Shannon, and their 2 daughters, 3-year-old Celeste and 4-year-old Bella. The girls' bodies were found inside storage tanks filled with crude oil on property owned by the company where Watts worked. Now, court documents suggest that they may have been strangled. A former FBI profiler says that Watts' emotional state seemed off when he appeared on TV last week pleading for his family's return.
When somebody kills their own family and then they go on TV to say, but I didn't have anything to do with that, and that's a lot of arrogance and confidence that you can pull this off. And that's not typical.
A judge sealed the affidavit explaining why investigators believe Watts killed his family, but it is expected to go public tomorrow.
The DEA is stepping up efforts to curb the opioid epidemic. The Drug Enforcement Administration and the Department of Justice are proposing to reduce the amount of opioids produced in the U.S. They're targeting the 6 most commonly abused drugs, including OxyContin and fentanyl. At the same time, according to Forbes, the DEA wants to increase the amount of cannabis that can be grown in the U.S. for research purposes.
And many people now have a second chance at freedom. Governor Brown has just issued dozens of pardons and sentence commutations. Now, 18 people serving life without parole for murder were granted a shorter sentence by the governor on Friday. He also pardoned 36 ex-convicts, including 3 immigrants possibly facing deportation. Now, since taking office in 2011, Governor Brown has granted more than 1,100 pardons and 82 commutations.
A judge has ruled that California can move forward with a lawsuit against the Trump administration. The lawsuit is over a controversial question on the 2020 census that asks all residents whether they are U.S. citizens. Now, opponents say the move would discourage non-citizens from participating and could reduce federal funding for schools, highways, and other public institutions. California is just one of about 24 states taking legal action against the Trump administration. A new so-called poop patrol will be patrolling the streets of San Francisco soon.
Yeah, they'll be going to known problem areas that have a lot of fecal matter on the sidewalk and cleaning it up. This is part of Mayor London Breed's big push to make San Francisco less dirty. She recently signed an $11 billion budget. That's the largest in San Francisco's history, and gave Public Works a 5.3% raise. And 3 men were injured at a shooting at a park in South Berkeley. Police were called to San Pablo Park at Maple and Russell Streets after reports of gunfire at about 5:30 yesterday afternoon. Now, 2 men had to be hospitalized. One is reported in critical condition. The other described as stable. And the 3rd victim is recovering from minor injuries. Tanya Mayo was at the park at the time of the shooting, taking part in a reunion barbecue with her former kindergarten classmates.
It's really sad, because we all grew up in this park. That's why we give it here. We have our class reunion every 2 years.
At this point, investigators are saying nothing about any specific suspects or possible motive, but they do believe the gunfire came from a passing car.
There's a new security strategy in Berkeley that you could call citizen surveillance. Now, we've shown you plenty of surveillance videos like this one that catch thieves in the act. Now, Berkeley police are asking residents to register their home security cameras and share their footage with investigators. Police say it could help them identify suspects. Scared of heights? This might make you a little queasy. A new glass-bottom suspension bridge just opened in northeast China. It's about 500 feet up, and it's nearly the length of 4 football fields. Now, thousands of people showed up to walk across the thick glass this weekend. The bridge stretches between 2 cliffs over a canyon. Wow. So crowds cheered as cliff divers from around the world took the plunge. 12 competitors jumped from a cliff 88 feet high yesterday, doing some flips on the way down. It was all part of the International Championship in Crimea. The winner took home $6,000.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I got a minute of sports, and I'm not afraid to use it. Here we go. Let's just roll it right on up. We start off with a fellow named Stephen Piscotty in the A's. Win, and it's first in the West, at least a share of it. Had to beat the Astros to do it. 8th inning, Piscotty, the Pleasanton native, 2 RBI double. The A's had a season-high 8 doubles in the game. Won it 7-1. Caught the Astros with a share of the division. That's John Gruden and the Raiders back in L.A. to play the Rams. No Derek Carr. It was Connor Cook under center. He was 6 of 7, 49 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, sacked once. Raiders lost this one, final of 19-15. Madison Bumgarner and the Giants worked over at Cincinnati. Bases loaded, bottom 4, 2 RBI for Brandon Dixon. Giants lost his 3rd straight, 7-1 the final. Ooh, man. And Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers in Houston battling the Texans. Quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, smooth. Hit Trent Taylor on the first drive. In fact, he played a couple of drives, 10 of 12, 136 yards. Niners lost in the closing seconds of the game, 16-13. That is your quick sports recap. Everybody have a great Sunday. As for me, I'll see you around.